and welcome back to the GorillaBiker. So today what we're going to be doing is finally getting rid of the exhaust. Well, I say finally, but I haven't even had the bike that long, so we're getting rid of the those nasty things today. You should be seeing the nice exhaust on screen right now. It's a Black Widow full carbon 400mm exhaust, and what I'm going to run through today is why we're getting rid of it, which is this. Sounds absolutely awful, as you just heard. Well, not awful. It's just it's too quiet. It's like putting a Ferrari engine into a race car and then, you know, running it off electrics. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This is a beautiful engine and it's too quiet. So we're going to fix that today. And behind the camera is Toaster. So thanks Toaster. Everyone say thanks Toaster in the comments. So what we get in the box, which is actually really, it's not over packaged. It's just about the right amount. Two 400mm cans, because my CBF is the dual exhaust version. You got a left and right link pipe, which are nicely marked on the packaging and also on the pipes themselves, so just in case one of them fall off. Two collets, which I assume are for these, we'll find out later. Two smaller clamps, which are for these, I would imagine. A clamp on each exhaust end, and also exhaust paste, which is a nice addition, I will say. You don't get that often. The cans also come in these nice little bags, so I'll be putting the originals into them to store them in case I ever sell this bike, and for some reason, like a really lonely dentist wants to bring it back to quietude. And you also get two of these exhaust clamps, one for each side. So that's it. So first what we're going to do is take off the heat shield bolt to see what's behind it. I assume this looks like a very easy install, all things considered, you know, if you could not drop things. So hopefully it is as smooth as it looks. It really doesn't look like there's a whole pile to it. The link pipes are all very simple and stuff. There is a little washer behind the heat shield there, so make sure you don't lose that. And the heat shields are hooked on that way, so they need to pull down towards the front of the bike. There's a little rubber grommet in them. You probably don't need to take off the heat shields per se, but it just gives greater access to see what we need to do. So what we have is there's one, hold on, I'll swap you to the GoPro. There's one exhaust bolt clamp here, right there, and there's another one just over there. So we'll need to take both of them off. And this actual exhaust piece is one piece, whereas the Black Widow is actually two pieces. It's the wider link pipe and the back box, whereas this is just a one piece. So anyway, we'll take them off now. So once the bolt is undone from underneath, you also just need to undo the hanger bolt, which is just directly behind the passenger heel plate, right there. So we'll undo that now. One thing you will notice is there was that like crappy stuff, like that net crap, this stuff is on that, so you will have to clean that off before you put on the new exhaust, and that's probably what the exhaust, not probably, that's what the exhaust sealant is for. So the far side is a carbon copy, foot peg, bolt underneath, the whole thing slides off. You really don't need to take off the heat shield if you don't want to, actually, but you know, I did. So I will jump back when we're ready to refit this side. All I'm going to do is clean off the rest of this stuff here that is on there, just with a chisel or something. And then I'll jump back when we're refitting this side. Okay, so the left-hand side is on. I'll show you in a second. Couple of complaints. This clamp here on the left-hand side wasn't actually small enough, so I had to shim it with a piece of this metal. Also, these fittings are Imperial. Now, for the Americans in the audience, I know that won't come as a surprise, but what? I have honestly never, ever had an Imperial fitting in my life from any company I've ever ordered from. So that confused me. Also, seeing as there's no instructions, also not that I can see on their website, I have no idea what these are for. I don't seem to need them. The only thing I can think of is if you didn't have the tour section fitted for in here. So I don't think I need them, which is fine, but you might need them if you don't have this pannier box holder fitted. So other than that, it's actually really straightforward to fit, provided you have a second pair of hands like these ones. You do need them, as this is quite hard to align on your own. To be honest, I'd say it's nigh impossible to align on your own. Single clamp here, you just put your gun gum or your exhaust compound, whatever it is, underneath. And that is an Imperial. Oh, hold on, I'll get it. I actually don't even know what Imperial size is there. It's a 3/8. Like, just use the metric system. And then there's the other clamp just down in there, and that's the one I had to shim, which is also a pain. But one side is done, so I'm going to show you now the right-hand side. We'll just have to make sure not to get Toaster's hands in frame. And yeah, then we'll do a noise test with the baffles in, and then I'll do the baffles out later. If you don't know what a baffle is, by the way, as Toaster just asked, this piece here, this whole thing slides out, and what it is essentially a plug for your exhaust, right? But you see all those little holes in there? So instead of just being straight out, the air is forced in around and out through those little holes to the sides. And it basically just quietens the exhaust down. It's also called a decibel killer or dB killer. It basically just makes your exhaust less noisy, which is no fun. So they'll be coming out and staying out. So what you want to do first is prepare this is the outside end of this pipe. So you want to coat the one down there with this stuff. That's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll slip the pipe on over it. Just make sure that you have this with its really, common Imperial bolt in position beforehand, and I'm hoping I won't need a shim for this one, but if I do need a shim, I can make it pretty easily, and I'll show you that if I do need to make it. What that was degreasant. It's just to try clean this up as much as possible to make the exhaust gum stick to it. Now with this lower section, you can just be kind of, fairly sound and throw on a load of it. You don't need to worry about it being seen down there. You want to just slip on your pipe, and I loosely secured this in order to keep the pipe roughly in position. You don't want to tighten this yet fully because you need to fine tune it when you're actually fitting your exhaust itself. So now for the exhaust, just make sure your clamp is in position as well. And this is just a test fit now. Obviously we'll be adding the gum in a second. But I found that this works best behind this receiver. And then you're going to have to pinch that in there. It is actually quite a pain in the hole. But that's what we're going to do. So now what I'll do is just gum up this, get it roughly in position, and then we'll probably have to cut that piece in because Toaster will be in frame. So now that the gum is applied, you also want to have this bolt here prepared. That's what's going to go in through there, and also its nut for the far end. So just have them ready at one side. It's also important when you're sliding this on to try to line up the two exhausts as best you can. That's the problem with dual exhausts, you can't just stick them in there and hope for the best. So like I said, it works best if one goes in behind. So bolt then, and it is, like I said, a complete and utter pain. They are about level. And I got me Allen to shove it. Now for this fella, you want to make sure it's covering there and is hiding the ugly bit as much as is possible. And then clamp it. Now, I'm going to move this in. So what I'll do is I'm going to shove the whole thing in a bit, and tighten up the lower, because the lower seems to have a bit too much of an effect or an influence on it, if you will. And the lower is too loose again, so we're gonna have to fix that. But first we'll just tighten this up. And this is a lovely metric bolt because it's the Honda original bolt. So that one tightens absolutely lovely. This one here does tighten just fine. So we're gonna tighten that up as well, and then we'll deal with the lower. Now you can actually see there, that's not even fitting that pipe correctly. So I'm gonna have to loosen that off now again and make another shim. And really and truly, Black Widow, that's not good enough. Like, you're charging enough for your exhausts that you should be sending out the right size clamps at the very least. That's really disappointing. That's really, really disappointing. The rest of the exhaust looks good, the materials are good, but that's just not good enough. So then what I want to do here is just cut a strip of metal, take off your sharp edges. Still will be sharp edges, but nothing major. Now obviously another option here is to obviously get a clamp that fits, but for me this is just what I have right now, so it's what I'm going to use. And we'll now pop this onto the pipe and shape it. So what I'll do here now is just push this onto the pipe as fit as I can, or as flush as I can even, and just get something. And what you want is a good soft metal so it's easy to shape. And just bend it as best you can with your finger parts. Now you want to have this clamp loosened off quite a lot in order to get your makeshift shim in there. Okay, so the makeshift shim is in, and this should hopefully be enough metal in order to cause it to actually crush home and tighten on the pipe. It worked on the far side of the pipe, so we'll try it on this side. And already I can see we have a lot more tightening space. And already you can see the fact I can't move that is a good sign. So it's quite likely this is tight enough now, but I'm going to tighten it all the way till these two boys hit each other. That's as tight as it's going to get anyway. So hopefully you can hear that, but it sounds way better. And that's what Baffle's in. Not only does it sound way better, it looks so much better. And despite the fact it was a pain in the hole to fit it, way happier with how they look. Yeah, that's considerably better. I am a lot happier with that. What are my thoughts on this? Pretty happy. It looks nice, and I'm going to obviously test it now noise-wise when I'm out on the road, and that'll be a real tell of how it actually sounds. It looks so much better though. Now I know what people asked me last time is on weight difference. Those cans there are about, I would say, 1/4 of the weight of these. I didn't weigh them because I don't have a scales out here. I'm not sure how many people keep scales in their garages, but anyway, this is way heavier. They look so much better. They suit the bike so much better, and you know, the clearances are the same, so all of my panniers and stuff will still fit. Mucho happy, just not very impressed with the fitment. The bottom clamps are the big one. If you shouldn't have to shim a clamp, you know what I mean? Like, you do have this, and I assume that's what I'm accounting for. There's this little sleeve inside in this pipe, but there's no way in hell that's coming out with any bike that isn't brand new. It's always going to fall apart, which it did. Also, something to watch out for is this was my stock left-hand side clamp, which just disintegrated as soon as I touched it. So if you do own a Honda CBF, and this one's done no mileage, so I don't know how this fell apart already, just keep an eye on your clamps, because it would really suck to lose your exhaust due to your clamps falling apart. But overall, fitment is actually quite easy. Toaster probably doesn't agree, because I had some curse words, and then, you know, this for those lower clamps at the start until I just decided to shim them. Once shimmed, it's okay. And like I said, the second pair of hands, very handy for the exhaust to push fit it. Otherwise, you're just going to be messing around with it for an extra 5 minutes that you don't really need to do. But overall, mucho happy with how they look, and I'll be back to you on how they sound out on the road. That is the Bike D Baffle, and in my opinion that is by far and away the best sound. Really unleashes the engine, so sticking with that. So what did I use in order to fit these exhausts? A standard ratchet with a 3/8 Freedom Units nonsense thing. Just this to push in the exhaust holder with a 6mm Allen. Also a 12mm socket, 12mm spanner, 10mm spanner, 10mm socket, 5mm Allen. That's only if you want to remove the heat shield from the exhausts, and obviously your exhaust putty. Also degreasant in order to clean the pipes before you fit them. And then if you also get clamps that are over large, a piece of tin metal and tin snips in order to make a shim for your lower clamps. You really shouldn't have to do this though, so hopefully you do not need those tools. But overall, it is an incredibly easy install. Tools wise, anyone can do this. So if you've watched, thank you very much for watching. Would I recommend these exhausts? Yes, they're fairly cheap on the market for a CBF. The reason I didn't go with the Scorpions, which I know people are going to ask, they only have the standard oval one that I got for the Phaser, and I didn't want the same exhaust again. Apparently you can get their circuit exhaust, which does look nice, but it's considerably more expensive than these. And all the problems aside with fitting these, they still look really good. Long term, I don't know, and I will update you as we go. But other than that, thank you very much. For all my patrons, thanks, legends. Apparently I'm not to call you V4 anymore, because apparently V4 isn't the best engine. I mean, you're all wrong, but you know, I accept your opinions as wrong as they may be. So I'll just say thanks, you're all legends, and I hope you like these. I hope you enjoy the hooligan noises that come from them now, rather than the stock sewing machine cans, which I did not enjoy myself. But yeah, until next time, thank you very much again for watching. Adios. Outro crew. Full carbon fairings. Nah, that'd be ridiculous. 10-minute thing anyway, full carbon fairings for the CBF. Go like full motonosity build on it and just spend €1 billion on a bike worth a couple of grand. Yeah, let me know what you think of them. In the comments. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Why don't you like them? Why do you like them? Who uses Imperial bolts? Come on, get shit together.